Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Monday, the 28th of August, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Take a look at this. What are they doing? The tech billionaires have bought up 55,000 acres of land just outside San Francisco. Here shows a map of the area. I guess it's in these red squares, the areas of land that they've bought. Okay, so it says here that a group of Silicon Valley billionaires are behind an $800 million land purchase about the size of two San Franciscos around Travis Air Force Base in Solano County, California. What are they up to? Well, I'll tell you, after the crisis is over, the mega crisis that's coming to the United States of America, that area right there to probably support every citizen left in the United States. Just saying. That's the kind of crisis we're headed toward. Whether it be a crisis of what the weather's going to do, or if it's going to be a crisis of the financial system, or it's going to be a crisis of war in the world, or all three coming together at the same time. And that's sure what it looks like. It looks like all of this is going to pile in at the same time and hit at the same time. The whole works. The whole kit and caboodle. But they're planning for something big, and they're looking toward the future. Hundreds are joining in right now for a search for the Loch Ness Monster. It's a hunt. This is the biggest hunt, I guess, in 50 years. Hundreds of hopeful volunteers go on a 2-day hunt for Scotland's fabled Loch Ness Monster. Now, I'll tell you, some of you guys might not know what the Loch Ness Monster is. What happened is during the last, what's called Ice Age, which was, they say, around 11,000 years ago, a number of sea creatures that used to live in the oceans made it through the crisis deep underneath the water, what's known as leviathans or sea monsters. And Loch Ness is extremely deep and dark and murky down there. And there's believed to be one of these ancient prehistoric sea monsters that lives in Loch Ness, and they've been searching for it. And they've taken pictures of it. A few people have caught pictures of it in the past. They call this monster Nessie. It says volunteers from around the world allocated locations around a 23-mile long lake from which to monitor any signs of Nessie, while others took to boats. A hydroplane was used to detect acoustic signals underneath the water. I'll tell you, I don't expect they might not find it. I think it's there. I really do believe it's there, Loch Ness Monster. Pictures people have seen, too many people, eyewitnesses have seen it. And the lake, it's just the condition of the lake, how it's so deep. They had probably stand very little chance of finding it with acoustic signals in the water, because this body of water is so deep. Biden, his alcohol czar, says that the United States may change recommendations for how many beers Americans can drink. It says U.S. federal officials suggested in a recent interview that Americans may be told by officials that they are recommended to have no more than 2 alcoholic drinks a week, or beers a week. 2 beers a week. That's it. That's your limit. Now, as it stands right now, I don't think that they could totally enforce this ruling. But I see a time in the future coming where first they put the ruling in, get it in place, and then later comes enforcement. And I could see a time coming in the future where they could enforce this. But it's going to take a control over the money. So, and it's going to take artificial intelligence. Actually, it's all so simple. Once they get artificial intelligence in place, and once they get a digital money system in place, those two things come together, and then they will know. You will not get away with it. Even in the back room of your house, they'll know. You say, how will they know? Who will they know? How would they ever know? They'll know. First off, your purchase. If they get digital currency out there, central bank digital currency, they'll see it when you buy it. And, you know, even if you brew your own, they'll see it because they'll see the ingredients that you're buying to brew your own. And that'll put you on a suspicions list. And how do you get on the suspicions list? Well, the AI tells them. They don't manually, they couldn't never man a crew to manually go through all of the receipts from the purchases that a central bank digital currency would make. No way they could ever do that. But there comes in AI. With AI, they can. AI can work at the speed of a computer. You ever seen how quick a computer can load files? And this is just your home PC. Can load files and stuff and go through every word in the files and everything almost instantaneously. Well, AI can do the same thing. It can go through these ledgers of what you purchase, and it can hone in on the one purchase that doesn't fit. And it can see it, and it can bring it to the attention of somebody else. And it can do it so quick, and so it can go through all the ledgers of all the purchases. So if a guy's out there buying hops and malt and all the things he needs to make beer at home, the AI would say, hey, look at this guy. Look what he's doing. And then they would see it on your purchases because they could bring up the central bank digital currency ledger and see everything that you purchased. You won't get away with nothing. You will not even get away with having 2 drinks in a week. They're going to put the clampers on everybody out there. That's what they will do if they get the central bank digital currency. They can put the clampers on you. Now, the United States has fined American Airlines for keeping passengers on the tarmac. This is what gets me, is they get the plane loaded, pull it out on the tarmac. There's a big delay. Now, an airplane on a hot tarmac, and tarmacs are hot now, believe me, anywhere you want to go practically, because of the changing temperatures in the world. Because weather is not the same as it used to be. The heat domes everywhere. These heat. You get out there on the tarmac and you're inside that metal tube. That's basically what it is. Isn't that what they do to make ovens? Isn't it like a metal box or a metal tube, and then you put your food inside it and you shut the door? And then you gotta have a heat source to heat it. Well, the sun's shining on top of that thing. You could fry an egg on a hot runway. And what gets me is these flights is they wouldn't let they don't want people to disembark. So it says here the United States Transportation Department on Monday fined American Airlines $4.1 million for unlawfully keeping thousands of passengers on the tarmac for hours. Now, they did compensate some of these passengers on impacted flights. But it says here 43 domestic flights to remain on the tarmac for lengthy periods without providing passengers an opportunity to deplane. And that was in violation of the department's tarmac delay rule. In other words, you sit in your seat and don't you get out of your seat. And the guy's sitting there and he's like, but I'm he's panting like a dog out in the sunshine, you know, and he's like, I can't stand it. I'm roasting. No. You're gonna sit in your seat, buddy. That has actually happened before. You know, and then I mean, I'm all for this fining them, because this'll help to improve this situation for but they should take the fine, the $4.1 million, right? That they're fining them, and they should give it to the people who suffered. That's what should happen. Now, here's something, a situation I want to show you guys. We got a tropical storm, Adalia. This is where it's at. It's between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula right now. Now, why I put this on here, and you say, Glenn, why would you just put a tropical storm on there? It looks like it's going to hit Florida. Don't they get a lot of tropical storms? And don't they get a lot of hurricanes? And yeah, they do. But why I'm pointing it out to you guys, for you guys living in Florida or living in around the Gulf Coast area of Florida or the Panhandle area, watch out for this one. I'll tell you why. You see where it says 7 a.m. Tuesday? And you see where it says 7 p.m. Tuesday? Those two H's there? When it gets in those waters right there. Now, I've watched enough hurricanes in my life, and I'm telling you guys, when it gets in those waters right there, it's going to explode. And I don't mean explode as in explode. I mean it's going to explode in size and power. It's going to develop into something rather monstrous very, very rapidly, because the waters are explosively hot in the Gulf of Mexico right now. And we haven't had any hurricanes move through to cool the waters down. And yes, hurricanes cool the water. Hurricanes work on a heat pump principle. What they do is they draw the heat, and they just go outside your house, and you'll see a big box out there that's called a heat pump. It's part of your air conditioning unit. Okay? Now, inside your house, you got cool air coming in through the vents. But outside there, you'll see a fan, and you'll notice that warm air is blowing out, or hot air is blowing out of that fan. That's called a heat exchanger. And it spins. The whole thing spins. This is exactly the same thing. This is a heat exchanger. And that's where it derives its energy. That's where it makes its power. And so those waters are so hot right now, it's just going to be explosive. So look out if you're in Florida. If they tell you to evacuate the coastal area, you better listen. I'll tell you a story. You know, Hurricane Camille came through Louisiana years and years ago, and they were having a hurricane party or whatever. And they thought they were safe. They were in a building that was down near the shore, you know, and it was all concrete block, all poured cement. They said, oh, this is nothing, the hurricane. All that was left the next day was twisted rebar. That's the power of a hurricane. A real bad hurricane. Moving on, let's take a look at the silver price today. Now, I'm going to tell you what they're doing with silver, guys. The banks are coming into the silver coin shops and stuff like that, people that sell silver, and they're closing out their bank account. I'm thinking to myself, when I heard that, I was thinking to myself, hey, crack down. That's what I was thinking to myself, a crackdown. What happens if first off, they see that all the silver's being drained out of their inventories that they got left, whatever they got left. And to keep this game going, they got to keep silver. They got to have real silver to supply the markets and people with. But how are you going to know if they got any silver or they don't have any silver if you can't buy any silver? You put all the coin stores and all the silver retailers out of business, and then you can keep your silver. They can keep their silver. And they don't have to keep supplying these guys. They can just take you right out of the marketplace. You know, and I just don't know. Maybe that's something to do with that. I'm just thinking, theoretically, you know. I do know that they would just love it if they didn't have to sell you any silver. If they can keep it all for themselves and control the price. That would be their wet dream. They would love that. Okay, let's move on and take a look at cryptocurrency. Oh, we didn't say the price. Price 24.26. And as far as gold is concerned, the price is 19.22. Now, taking a look at cryptocurrency today, we see Bitcoin at 26,121, Ethereum at 16.49, and XRP at 51.9 cents. Now, the Dow Jones today is up 139 points at 34,486. Taking a look at crude oils at 79.88. Bonds and rates, here we go. The long end of the yield curve's falling and the short end's rising. And we're looking at a 10-year at 4.22, and it fell 1.9 basis points, and the U.S. 30-year at 4.28, and it's fell a half a basis point. And now taking a look at the U.S. dollar index, and it's at 104.07. So it's getting toasty high, and it's going along sideways today. Got to be careful. These guys are always scheming. I would say, looking at this map of where they've bought around San Francisco, I would say something in the future is going to be developing here. Something big, and they know what it is, and we don't. And they're getting in on the ground floor. That's what I think. I don't know. Don't trust them. Don't trust any of them. I don't trust the politicians, and I don't trust the really, really rich fat cats out there, and the establishment, the whole establishment out there. What have they done to earn our trust? They've done everything to disintegrate our trust. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.